Welcome back to Frontline Insights. I'm Bill Brandt, and I am here with the man, the myth, the legend, Jon Roskill himself.
Hey everyone!
We're here at the Worldwide Partner Summit in Los Angeles, day 4. Event's coming to an end. Just a great show, I think, a lot of great buzz. But let's hear from you. What are your thoughts? How did it go?
Well, yeah, this is my last meeting, literally, and then we're going over to the partner celebration. So we've got Los Lobos and Smash Mouth playing over there. So it's nice to be able to sort of wind down and have a moment to relax now and really celebrate what a great event it's been with the partners. 16,000 people. We're over 16,000 people here attending, so it definitely surpassed our expectations. Our targets were more like 15,000, which is almost 2,000 over the previous year. So wow. The total is closer. It's almost 3,000. So it's fantastic growth in the conference attendance. It was 3 days of big keynotes in the Staples Center.
Yeah. It
started off with Steve Ballmer on day 1, and Steve talked a lot about the future and how that's happening right now. The future we've envisioned for the last few years and the investments we've been making with cloud, but also Windows 7. And then he brought Tammy Reller up, who's our vice president in the Windows division. She talked about a little bit more about Windows 7 and the opportunity. A fantastic opportunity in the small business space is the amount of XP it is still out there. Yeah. And XP is going full end of life in 3 years. And so we just think it's a tremendous opportunity to get people up. Right now their experience is a 10-year-old software, 10-year-old software experience. So then day 2 we had the business group's presidents, and we went through platform, with Azure and some of the next version of Windows Server. Yeah. Then we went through the productivity layer with Kurt Delbeni, and we took a deep look into Link, which is another fantastic place if you're looking for a new market to break into that's very appropriate from small all the way to enterprise. We're really excited about the opportunity around Link in our communications offering. And then Kirill talked about the Dynamics CRM and ERP offerings. And then we wrapped day 2 all together with Andy Lees came out and talked about mobile, and they did a demo of the new Mango phone, which I got a lot of feedback from partners was the coolest thing. Yeah. And then on the other end, we showed some of the new Windows devices that are out there. Some very cool form factors on Windows 7 right now, some neat slates, and kind of gave a hint of where slates were going. And then day 3 was me talking about the new MPN, how we've done with the gold and silver competencies, which has been a fantastic response. I'm very happy. We announced we have over 6,000 gold certified partners that now have over 9,000 competencies, and over 14,000 silver with a total of 40,000 competencies plus across all of them. And then Kevin Turner came out, and Kevin Turner talked about how to compete to win. Some really interesting highlights, around the real expense around running Google, for instance. Some of Oracle, how they're competing more with the channel than they're partnering. And so all of these keynotes are up on digitalwpc.com, by the way, if anybody wants to go up and watch them. And then we wound up with the interview with Richard Branson. Yeah. I don't know, what do you think about Richard Branson?
That was a favorite of mine. Richard, I'm part of a business group called the Entrepreneurs Organization. And Richard spoke, to our group before, and it was all about entrepreneurialism. Yeah. So I think it was really, really motivating and insightful to hear from him. What did he say? He started over 400 businesses.
Yeah. And I think, and then he said something like only like 10 of them have really been, great successes. So it sort of gives you a sense of the percentage and the effort you got to put in.
Yeah.
And it was great for this audience because the majority of people here are running companies that are, I would say, between 20 and 200 people. That's the sweet spot. There's certainly HP and Avanade and those guys here, but the sweet spot is 20 to 200. And it's been exciting. You're probably getting a sense of I'm still very energized. Talking to the guys from Ghana, the guys who came from South Africa, the guys who came from Finland, the guys who came from Dominican Republic and Chile. And, they're so excited to be here. So it's cool.
Well, one of the big themes, obviously, partners are very important to you. Mm-hmm. One of the key themes was, Microsoft and its partners winning together.
Yep.
What does that really mean? If you could explain to the audience.
Sure. I mean, we talked about how Microsoft's strategy has always been to build platforms that partners can then take and customize and extend, and they deliver to market. And so 95% of our revenue goes through with and through partners. And Steve stood up and said, "Well, I don't know what that other 5% is." So that was kind of funny. But that is our strategy. And the point was, as we're now in the cloud, we continue to be a with and through partner organization. And so clearly everything we're doing is together, and it's, that's winning together is how do we get it to market with the best products, the best incentives, the best channel programs to wrap around it, and grow the pie, take share where we can, and have fun doing it.
Well, those were a couple other themes too. Maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit. I know our readership would like to hear. I guess there was 3 priorities within winning together, which is growth, profitability, and market relevance.
Yep, that's good.
What does that mean?
Boy was listening. Basically what I do is I talked about, at the conference, the Microsoft people were talking about the opportunity in private cloud, public cloud, and on-premise. And at the high level, that's where the software opportunity is. But what I tried to do in my talk was to come down to the business level and say, look, you run businesses, we run a business. And we have this shared alignment of priorities or outcomes, desired outcomes, which are ultimately growth, profit, and marketplace relevance. And the point I made around relevance was that's kind of the key, because the words I used were, the road is littered with casualties of companies that didn't stay relevant, and they rode a highly profitable train right into the ground. And so staying relevant is something we're really pushing on, and we think that with, again, back to the cloud offering right now, between CRM, now Office 365 is BPOS Office 365, Intune offering, so many SMB partners in here talking about the Intune offering, and Azure, that we've got the best, broadest offering out there. So we're pretty excited. We think we're being underestimated, and not when I say we, it's us and our partners. And so we like being in that position.
Well, I know you mentioned how important the channel partners are. Your pride and most strategic asset, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And so I think one of the announcements that came out this week to reinforce that go-to-market was an investment of up to $5.8 billion,
yeah.
And that's billion with a B.
Yeah, no, 5.8 billion.
Yeah. Where's some of that money going to go, and how are the partners going to benefit from that?
Sure. Well, the biggest chunk of it goes into incentives, and one of the things that we've done, I'm kind of into consistency. Microsoft is complex enough. It's hard enough to track our licensing. Having partner programs, incentive programs that are wildly different across countries, across segments, make it very difficult for the partners to keep up with. And what I like to tell people, as much as we want them to be working with Microsoft 100% of the time, most of these partners are working with other partners. So even if it's 60 or 70% Microsoft, just trying to understand our programs and these other companies' programs, I mean, you have to understand them all to some degree, right? It's complicated, right? I try to keep up with them because I'm looking for who's doing cool, innovative stuff.
Yeah.
So the incentives go into primarily, there's a group of reseller incentives. There's the ones we do to the LARs that are around enterprise agreements, and we've made some pretty big changes in the last year around that, which we think is quite exciting. We're basically weighting more heavily what we call corporate account space, and so that's not the top 2,000 accounts, but it's basically companies think about it as sort of 500 to 5,000 desktops. That's primarily where it is, and then we talked about our solution incentives, and that's where we now have this MPN program. It's aligned by competencies, workloads, competencies. So, an example of that is CRM as a workload. We have a CRM competency. And then we've got a CRM incentive, a solution incentive. And we've done that now for virtualization and management. We've done it for application platform. We've done it for Azure development. We did it for Windows 7. And the one we announced this time was the new Link solution incentive. And then you go down into the SMB space, and that's where you see our DISTI and VAR rebate program. And so we've worked really hard to again, try and get consistency there and make sure that it's fully funded. In years past, there have been variations by country, by program, as to which programs were being funded, and we've really said, look, the only thing that's driving down in that part of the business for Microsoft is partners, and so we got to get it fully funded, and so we've been able to do that this year, and we're pretty excited.
Well, you talked a lot about solutions, and I spent a lot of time in the Solutions Pavilion. I think you guys had almost 200 different vendors there, and I probably interviewed 24 of them.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
And were they excited?
They were excited. Everybody, a lot of good buzz. But how important are those partners to you? Those vendor partners, those software companies that are developing on your platform, those hardware companies that are running your systems.
Yeah, well, that's quite a softball there. No, I mean, they're critical, and the guys who are here, many of them are, you could say, are deeper, best partners. But there are some who are here just because we're in Los Angeles, for instance. There's some small software companies that decided to buy a booth and come and be in here. Just because you don't have one of our booths doesn't mean we don't love you. But the excitement, and they're showing things like the German guys that have the solution that sits on CRM. The guys wearing the lederhosen, right? That's the second year in a row, and they
have one of their hats.
Yeah, and they won a prize. And I told them next year if they won the award again, that I would wear lederhosen on stage with them. So the challenge has been issued.
Nice.
That hardware pavilion, I think one of the things that people, hardware is a very there's a good word for it. It's not a visceral. You have to be able to touch and sense and yeah, you have to be able to play with it. And so that hardware pavilion, it had I think it's closed now. It had over 50 devices in it that were really a lot of different new things that people haven't seen. I mean, some of the new Samsungs. There's a Samsung out there that's it's about this big. And it's just an amazing, if you're looking for that thin form factor for traveling, which is what I love, and it's an amazing device.
Yeah. Bags are getting heavy, actually. My back hurts me after carrying around.
Well, there's mine.
So, one of the other things you talked about a little bit was this concept of transformation workshops. And I guess maybe you can explain that a little bit. I thought that was pretty unique and interesting.
Sure. Well, what we said was we've transformed the Microsoft Partner Network program to competencies, and those competencies work in public, private, or on-premise. We've transformed our incentives to fully support the cloud offerings, and we've transformed the products. So now we need the partners to transform with us. And we know that that's not easy. This is not just bring out another product line, another sort of line alongside your other lines. It's really pretty fundamental, business transformation. I talked in that keynote about going from a transaction-based revenue stream, where a lot of the partners I meet are still so focused on, what are we doing this month, what are we doing this quarter, to moving to an annuity stream, and and there's it's going to take time to do that. I showed a slide. It showed basically building up over 3 years. As you start to add, you get this ramp. You add customers. The thing that's exciting about building an annuity base like that, though, is that it builds resilience into your business. If we have another economic downturn, you've got this annuity stream that customers are already paying you on, and they're not going to shut off their core systems. And so the chances that that's going to keep going even in a downturn, it's really going to help you. It's going to help buffet you through something like that. And so it's one of the things I stress. But the transformation workshops, I mean, we're putting a bunch of material up online that we've been developing with partners. We've been doing this in partnership with partners. Bunch up online, and then we're spending $1 million on these workshops that are basically one-to-few events where we've got business consultants that are coming out and working with partners on, talking with them about what's their business model and what does the cloud transformation mean to them and what can they do to help.
Yeah, so exactly. And kind of the final tie-in there, just to bring it all full circle, is you talked a lot about making big investments around cloud, and Microsoft's all in terms of getting the entire product line to the cloud. Maybe you can just tie it all together and where you see the cloud going, how important it is to partners, because we see it every day. Out of all our subscriber base, there's still those transaction partners. We're trying to move them that trusted business advisor status, and the cloud's a big part of that.
It is.
So
well, we appreciate the help on that. I guess what I would say is the product line's there, and one of the things we're really encouraging partners to do is take advantage of the internal use rights that we give partners to run their own business on the cloud. That's one of the first things you should be doing. Is if you're a cloud company, it's much easier and you'll be much more convincing if you go to talk to companies about being a cloud company. And so, get your business up and running on Office 365. If you join Cloud Essentials, you get 100 seats of Office 365, CRM Online, Intune is 25 seats. So you can get going on all of these things. And what we said is, it's use the cloud to sell the cloud. And you've just got to start. You got to start somewhere. Go out and do your first deal. We had one really great video on day 2 where it had 4 partners, and they were talking about the transition that they've made. Because a lot of partners have made it. We showed a lot of case studies and a lot of videos here. Partners have already gone. And they're talking about like 50% of their business is cloud, 80% of their business, and some of them are just cloud at this point. And so you want to make sure that you're not getting too far behind. And what these guys were talking about, sometimes deal sizes are smaller, but they're happening faster. You can get higher profitability. You get the annuity stream. So there's a lot of differences, but you got to get going and get out there and do a deal. Learn. Your employees have to learn how to talk about things like service level agreements and things like that. But after you do a few, even I've kind of figured it out. So
now that's scary.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, John. Appreciate your time.
Okay. Well, hey, very happy.
And great event.
See y'all, and WPC 2012 next year in Toronto. We announced it yesterday. Come see us there.
All right. Thanks a lot.